Hello, it's Linda from Lányos Handmade, and today we're going to do part 2 of the Tessa Bag sew along. We're going to attach a patch pocket, or you could attach a pocket with a flap, and we're going to do zipper tabs for the top zipper, and we're going to make a zipper pocket in the back lining. Here are my front and back pieces for my lining and my outer bag. I've fused some fleece to them, and I've zigzagged them to compact the edges. First, I'll show you how I put the patch pocket on. It's pretty easy. I just make sure it's centered all around. I like to use double-sided tape to hold it on while I sew, but you can use pins. Just pin in the center, not on the edges, because the edges will be pretty thick for your pins to go through. And I'm obviously using way too much of this stuff, but I usually spread it all along the edge. I've got all three sides done now. Make sure the opening is at the top of the bag. Now you can just eyeball where you want this to go, but I prefer to measure in from the outer edge of the bag piece, a uniform maybe 2 inches around each side or 1.5 inches around each side, and then draw chalk lines and line the pocket up with those chalk lines. I always double check before I sew to make sure that nothing slipped. And after you've decided where it's supposed to go, then you can press down on the double-sided tape, or else you can put pins in it. And we're going to sew it on from the top of one corner around the bottom to the top of the other corner. If you already have top stitching on your patch pocket, you can just follow along with that stitching line. Now let's see how to put the pocket with the pocket flap on the front of your bag. It's still done the same way. You still center it. So we're measuring in from the outside edge of the bag and making sure it's uniform all the way around. So it's 1 inch, 2 inch, whatever it takes to center this pocket. And draw your chalk lines in so you have something to line your pocket up with. You can use double-sided tape again, or you can use pins, whichever you like, just to keep the two pieces in place. Now we can edge stitch all the way around from one corner to the other corner, and the stitch in the ditch foot helps with that again. And then your pocket is attached, so we'll just have to put the pocket flap over top of it now. Now I've snapped the two pocket pieces together, and I'm going to sew across the top. First I want to check to make sure I've got my chalk lines on there so I can line it up properly. If that pocket flap edge is 2 inches from the outer edge of the bag on one side, then it has to be 2 inches on the other side too, so that it doesn't look crooked. Just make sure it's level all the way across before you sew it. And if you're satisfied with how level it looks and measures, then you can pin it down or use double-sided tape. It's up to you. Now if you're satisfied with how level it looks, you can top stitch or edge stitch across the top of the pocket flap and attach it to your bag front. Next we have the zipper tabs that go on the zipper that is at the top of the bag. Now we'll be putting the right sides together again, so the right side of the zipper is stuck to the right side of the zipper tab. And you'll notice this was a zipper from a zipper tape, so that's why I zigzagged zipper stops on the end of it. And I used a little bit of double-sided tape here just to hold that piece in until I could sew it. Now after sewing it, that's a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so when you fold it over, it's going to be folded over 1/2 inch, and you can press it, and then after it's going to be folded again, the other edge 1/2 inch, and you can press it, and then you can fold it again 1/2 inch, and you can press it, and then we're going to sew that down. I kind of like the stiff zipper tabs at the end. Now you'll notice when we do get this piece finished, it's going to be smaller than the width of your bag top. That's because you need the 1/2 inch free on each side to sew the sides together without sewing in the zipper tabs. And when I was sewing these zipper tabs, I did use my stitch in the ditch foot with my needle position to the left. That's pretty handy because when that guide runs along the edge of your zipper tab, it makes a perfect 1/8 of an inch stitching line. Now this is the pocket lining and the back lining of the bag, and we have transferred over the markings so we can do the zipper box. We put the right sides together to match up the markings of both pieces, and you might need to poke a pin through to match the two corners up on this side and the two corners on the other side. I suppose if I would have drawn the markings on the wrong side of the pocket lining, I would be able to see a bit better what I'm trying to match up. Oh well, sometimes I think of it and sometimes I don't. Now once you get it matched up on this side, then you can match it up on the other side. Now I know that those pins are in the corners, so I'm going to draw in this box after all. I'll just draw lines from one pin to the other. And there's the box, and I'm glad it was on Shapeflex instead of trying to draw it on the fusible fleece on the other piece. Now I've sewn around the outline of the zipper box, and next thing we can do is we can cut it open. Now you can see that you're supposed to cut across, but also up into the corners, and be very careful cutting into the corners. Go as close as you can, but don't go too close. Then after, we can pull the pocket lining through that hole that we made, and it looks like a mess right now, but once you get everything through, it's going to look okay. And then after we have it all through, let's go press it so that it looks really sharp. The best thing you can do when you're bag making is do a lot of pressing. Now with this piece, what we're going to do is put the zipper in underneath it. And I think this has got to be one of the easiest ways to put a zipper pocket in the lining of a bag. I'm going to be using some double-sided tape because I prefer it over pins. Pins make things bumpy. So let's flip this over and get some double-sided tape. The right side of the zipper is facing the right side of the pocket lining, and we're going to put the double-sided tape on the right side of the zipper. And way to go, Linda. Again, you're using way too much double-sided tape. So we have our double-sided tape on both sides, and we're going to peel the backing off, and we'll stick it underneath the zipper box opening. So it'll sit just like this. I'll flip it over just so I can peel the backing off, and then I'll press it down on there, and then we'll be able to sew it. And I think I can get a pretty good stitch all around with my stitch in the ditch foot. Let's just play with the zipper a little bit just to make sure it works. The back side doesn't look too bad neither. You can see the box markings. Now this flap here, that's what you're going to attach the bottom of your pocket lining to. Now when you open the zipper up, you can see there's nothing inside. So let's fold up the pocket lining in the back and turn this into a pocket. We're going to pin these two pieces together. This is your one pocket lining folded in half, but we're going to pin them together and sew them together too. Be sure to match up all the edges when you go around. Very, very careful. And don't get any of the lining back caught in your pinning or your sewing. To make sure nothing gets caught, I actually pin up all of the lining back so it's not anywhere near the pocket lining. So let's sew around the three sides of the pocket now. I usually do a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch. And then when you open up the zipper, you'll see there's a real pocket inside now. This is what the back view of it looks like. And all we have to do is press it now. So that's the end of part 2 of the Tessa Bag sew along. Be sure to subscribe and like so you can catch part 3 where we assemble our Tessa bag. Thank you for watching.